the catalyst. For years, the financial world sold you a brutal formula: sacrifice your present, save aggressively, wait decades to finally live. That was the old math. Today, the macroeconomic reality has shifted. Sticky inflation eats away at purchasing power. The cost of living rises relentlessly. The old path feels less like a strategy and more like an endurance test. You feel the burnout of extreme frugality, the anxiety of a shifting economy. But a quiet movement of investors is using a different model, a mathematical framework that buys back your freedom years before you actually retire. This is the Coast architecture. The map. 4 distinct pillars designed for a new economic era. It is not about extreme frugality. It is about reaching a specific mathematical tipping point, a point where your money does the heavy lifting permanently. The framework consists of the inflation anchor, the growth engine, the Coast threshold, and the frictionless margin. Together, they transform wealth from a distant spreadsheet number into tangible, daily agency. You stop waiting for age 65. You reclaim your life today. The first pillar, the inflation anchor. You are building a house in a shifting climate. You need a foundation that does not erode. This is the portion of your portfolio allocated to tangible scarcity, assets that naturally absorb price increases rather than being destroyed by them. Real estate, resilient infrastructure, commodities. When structural inflation persists, fiat currency loses its edge. The anchor forms your defensive base. It ensures the persistent inflation of the modern economy cannot melt your purchasing power before you reach your goal. It holds your ground. The second pillar, the growth engine. Defense alone will not build wealth. You need high-octane compounding. This is broad ownership of productive businesses. You do not need to pick individual stocks. You do not need to time the market. You simply capture the massive wealth generated by human progress and technological advancement. You do this through broad market index funds. The growth engine works alongside the anchor. It propels your portfolio forward. It is relentless, quiet progress, working while you sleep. The third pillar, the Coast threshold. This is the exact mathematical tipping point, the moment everything changes. Your invested capital reaches a critical mass. Compound interest alone will carry it to your final retirement number. You never need to contribute another dollar to your investments. The math takes over. Hitting this milestone shifts the entire purpose of your active income. The burden of feeding the growth engine vanishes. You have bought your future. Completely. The fourth pillar, the frictionless margin. This is the ultimate yield. The monthly cash flow and mental bandwidth you reclaim. You stop aggressively saving for a distant tomorrow. Instead, you deploy this margin today. You fund present-day joy. You shift to lower-stress work. You practice soft saving. You build adaptable human skills. You do not wait for age 65 to live. You experience financial peace right now. The interlock, the system in motion. The anchor protects. The engine compounds. The threshold liberates. The margin funds your life today. These pillars do not operate in isolation. They rely on each other to create an anti-fragile portfolio. If you only focus on growth, inflation erodes your gains. If you only focus on defense, you never reach the threshold. But when aligned, they create a self-sustaining ecosystem, a financial architecture that adapts to the modern economy. The misapplication, the trap of the old math. People often misapply this model. They cling to the extreme frugality of the traditional FIRE movement. They sacrifice their youth for a number that keeps moving. They delay joy out of fear, or they ignore the anchor, leaving their purchasing power exposed to a bifurcated market. They treat wealth as a high score on a screen. True wealth requires balance. It requires recognizing when you have enough to let the math do the work. You must step off the treadmill. The final yield, true agency. Wealth is not a number. It is the absence of anxiety. It is the ability to choose your daily work, to design your environment, to live intentionally in a complex world. The rules of wealth have changed. You no longer have to choose between a secure future and a meaningful present. You can have both. You just need the right architecture. The Coast framework gives you that structure. It buys back your time. It secures your future. It sets you free.